They are pumped in the Gfinity arena, maybe because they've got some soft drinks and some popcorn. I saw someone have popcorn. I want popcorn now. But joining me on the panel, I got Greg and Onset. So we're getting ready for Endpoint versus Epsilon. We saw them come down. It's my favourite bit of the Elite Series and Rocket League on a Sunday because you get to see them. They've got that fighting talk. Would you call it fighting talk from data?
It's very direct, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very direct.
What's the result going to be? We're going to win.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it? 3-0. It's just so simple to him. But then the funny thing is, as a player, he's not simple. He tries to do fancy stuff in the air. He's very indirect with the way he tries to score. So perhaps he needs to get his fighting talk into his gameplay.
Well, we want to see great gameplay. I mean, I'm going to push you for this, Onset. I need a prediction for this match, please.
I'm going to go with Epsilon for this one, purely because they seem to be the ones who are scoring goals. I mean, it sounds stupid, but they're the ones who seem to be offensively effective, defensively maybe not so. But on the other side, Endpoint, they've been defensively good, but they're not scoring goals. So I just feel like having that sort of that firepower that Epsilon have in the players like Alex, who has been scoring goals from week to week, whereas Endpoint haven't been putting those goals on the board, I think that can definitely come out to play. But it's going to be I think we'll see potentially a Game 5 here. I could see a very, very close series.
He's saying Game 5. Gregan is grimacing almost there. Can't see it at all, can you?
I don't know how to predict Epsilon. They're just so random in whether they play the best they can play or whether they play the worst they can play. And I've seen both ends of the spectrum, and I really hope for their sake it's the best because it's so fun to watch. I just think this Endpoint team is the perfect matchup for that. They defend well, Epsilon overcommit a lot, counterplays will happen. So I think Endpoint are going to make it really close. I don't know which way it's going to go. Endpoint. I'm going to go Endpoint 3-2.
We love it when it's a split panel, but not in friendship. We've had a lot of fun with this. Listen, gentlemen, I've got your predictions. I'm going to turn slowly but surely over to Wowzers. It's Shogun and Johnny Boy. Gentlemen, you've heard the predictions over here. Shogun, we know you lost your run of predictions, but can we get it back to winning ways this week?
Why does everyone, when they turn around to talk to me, just say "wowzers"? It's so rude.
I think it's a compliment. I think it's a compliment. That shirt looks delightful on you. I like the yin and yang. The yin and yang of you two.
Actually, perfectly felt fair, but yeah, that is going to be very good. And yin yang, that's actually a very good way of describing the two teams we've got here. One team very capable of playing either really good or really bad. The other team, however, we haven't seen much for the last 2 weeks. We haven't even seen more than 2 goals. We've only scored 1 in their last 6 games. That is not only a bad stat, it's a horrible stat.
Yeah, it's one of the worst that they could have expected, and these guys need to find goals against a team who are scoring loads of goals, especially Alex161, top scorer in the league with 10 at the moment, which is a pretty good stat line for the amount of games that he's played, and we'll be looking to him to score some more. I don't know if I agree with Gregan. I don't think this is going to be a close one myself. I'm expecting a 3-0. Personally, in favor of Epsilon.
But yeah, we are going to be continuing on with this series. And for Endpoint right now, there has to be justification. They are currently living in a house together.
Yeah.
Logic dictates that that should be making you better. It hasn't. But at the same time, they've got time to improve. Maybe 3 weeks they've had the anti-honeymoon period, where they couldn't figure out who was doing what, including washing plates, according to what they told us in week number 1. So maybe, just maybe, they've managed to finally start to figure it out. But the big problem has been for them so far is the setup. Phenomenal, fantastic. The finish, non-existent.
Yeah, crossbar, if they were playing the crossbar challenge, they're pretty good at that. But if they're finding the back of the net, they can't do it. But we are going to get into the first game of Epsilon versus Endpoint. We're thinking Epsilon are going to struggle, or Epsilon are going to take this comfortably. I'm mixing up these teams. Why are there so many teams?
They're very close.
Who start with
though,
ease.
Yes.
It makes it very difficult from our perspective. Repix back in this week. He did have a shaky performance in week 1, but he was able to help his team to victory in week 3. Week 2, of course, they won without him. So mixed feelings perhaps for the Swiss player going up against Tinny of Wales and Shirio of Sweden. I'm not actually 100% sure where Chakaron is from. I'm sure somebody in the crowd will know.
And Epsilon Esports, they have been very consistent with one style of play, is those long balls towards the final third and then using the redirect to put the ball powered into the top of the goal. But if that is challenged, they do struggle to usually think of new ways of attacking the net. So if Endpoint have got an answer, Epsilon might very well struggle in this series as both these teams are taking their time, figuring it all out. Strong rotations, but no real speed until that, as the goal is powered into by Cheerio, and they have now tied their amount of goals for the last 2 weeks in less than a minute.
And just like Magnus in the last one, the placement on point, even if there was a goalkeeper. So great start. That's so important for Endpoint, because they have been on a downward spiral, 2 losses in a row, and not many goals being scored. The self-doubt has to creep in at that point, but this is a good start for them.
Certainly does, considering Endpoint have got, on paper, a very strong roster of names that have been around the block.
Well played by Shakuron, shaking off that ambush from Data. It's pretty smart though by Data, coming up behind the offensive dribbler. Tried to catch him off guard as he was looking for the dribble out play.
Oh no!
That's an open net miss for Repix. We did say he looked shaky in week 1. That was wide open, and he stuck it way wide of the net.
And Endpoint have got away with that, a completely unnecessary touch to put Shakuron in all sorts of trouble. But if you're Epsilon Esports, you have to be capitalizing on that. You will not get a better opportunity simply handed to you. But they now need to try and score one. The best way of alleviating the disappointment you usually feel is to score almost immediately afterwards. But Endpoint are holding their defensive rotation very well and using that player on the backboard. Johnny, why do players usually stick around on the backboard? What does that give them as a more useful success on defense?
It's all about efficiency. Driving, of course, is a lot faster than flying, so driving up a wall will get you to the height that you need to be at just that little bit quicker than boosting through the air. Of course, saving with the boost is the other big part of it. You can get the clear and still have enough boost to make a play after the fact.
It's going to be a speed battle in the air as we head into the second half of this game. Epsilon Esports had a lot more time in offense, but they are struggling to create solid opportunities for themselves after completely fluffing the main one they had earlier.
Oh, the pass is just not there once again. There's so many opportunities for them to pass the ball into the center, but they are just giving it away a little bit towards the Endpoint goalkeeper. Still 2 minutes remain. They have plenty time to try to get the passing plays going. I'm looking at Data in particular. He is usually such a great team player. But right now his team really need him to step up, because I've seen quite a lot of possession giveaways from Repix and Alex, who are more of the scorers, the shooter type of player. Oh, that's a passing play, but in the wrong direction. Cheerio and Tinny getting away with murder there.
Data completely out boost, cannot get himself there in time, but the big problem there was that he stuck around afterwards. He didn't allow the third to rotate in and potentially take a good shot. Instead, decided to stick himself around, and that completely slowed everything down, and that has resulted in us still being at 1-0 with final 80 seconds starting to come in, and you can see the change in playstyle now from Endpoint. Not trying to pass it around as much, they are simply trying to clear and maybe follow up.
I do like that Epsilon are trying to hold on to the ball a little bit more. We've seen dribble plays from Data and also from Repix. They're trying to change it up. They realize that hitting the backboard is not working. They're going to try and find a more direct approach. Just keep the ball under their control. No need to hit it off the back wall if you can find a teammate in open field. Alex coming out the defensive blind spot will set up an opportunity for Data, who has put it wide, but I think Cheerio might have got a piece of that, so credit to him.
Certainly did. He gets himself the Savior medal to go along with it. Endpoint holding on to their 1-goal advantage. But here has been the big problem. Every single time the ball has been played long by Epsilon, Endpoint are ready for it. They are holding at least 2 players back, which means they can take control of the ball.
Big shot.
We need to see more passing plays.
3 men in the goal.
No one is trying to chase this one down.
Oh my
but these shots are so weak right now that nothing is troubling Endpoint.
The backboard was wide open. We saw the entire Endpoint lineup queued up on the goal line. And right then is the time you want to hit that back wall. Just put all of the goalkeepers in the worst position imaginable directly underneath it. Missed opportunity for Epsilon. They might get one more at the most. They've got to work hard for it though, and it just isn't going to happen. That is first game to Endpoint. So I would say a surprise, given the pressure in the territory and the amount of shots. Look at the disparity of shots, 10-2. We are probably going to expect to see Epsilon taking at least a couple of games this series.
Yep, certainly can. Endpoint finally fulfilling their quota of goals.
Yeah.
Picking themselves up
They
the
got their
minimum
goal.
amount they could take to
They got
get a
their
win.
goal.
And then focusing on the defense, but the defense, I would say not that strong overall. They were just given very simple things to save, as we see the rotation in very, very late. Cheerio as an open net to slot into, but Repex, come on, dude, you have to be finishing
It
that.
was too easy, I think, is the problem. He had so much time, and he had the entire goal to choose where to shoot. But there, Cheerio did get a clutch save there. That is a game-winning save from Cheerio onto on-target shot from Data. And this is such a huge opportunity at the end there. Hit the backboard, just never came.
Certainly did not. There is certainly space for both of these teams to begin to work into. Want to see more passing plays from both sides. I haven't seen any of those long balls into redirects that I was speaking of earlier from Epsilon. Instead, they're getting the ball. They had a moment or two where they started to think about maybe dribbling it, maybe starting to go for passing plays, but it was passing. It would literally just sort of happened for a moment, and they went, yeah, it didn't work once, so let's not try it again.
They left it a bit late. There was a long time in the middle of the game because, of course, Endpoint took the lead so early. That gave Epsilon a lot of time to adjust, try to find the weak spot, but they just took a while to find it. They just kept on lobbing the ball forward aimlessly, and that open net miss from Repex. I hope that it doesn't go back to bite them, but should they lose this series by a single game, we're going to remember that one. Huge miss, no doubt, and no understating it.
One of Epsilon's biggest issues right now is every single time Endpoint go for a big clear, they haven't got anyone on the halfway line to reinforce the offensive pressure. So it means that they get one opportunity in net and nothing else, although that could be going the entire way. Cheerio has to watch as that goes off the crossbar. Everyone is trying to flail, but Alex gets there in time.
Alex is continuing his goal-scoring ways. One of his less flashy goals, I might add, as Data just lobs it right into Cheerio. Panic clear right into the German. Finally, they find the back of the net, and it had to come with a goal-mouth scramble.
So now the roles are reversed. Epsilon getting themselves the early goal. Now it is going to be up to Endpoint to respond. What can they do? This might be what they can do, but that was put straight down into the floor, right into the middle of the net. As a goalkeeper, there was no shot that could have been simpler.
Yeah, Tinny did well to get up so quick and in the right line, but the shot was lacking. Oh, great pass out to Cheerio. The presence of mind to look for Cheerio there was phenomenal from Tinny. Shot did go wide though. Still, territorial advantage for Endpoint. Looks like they might have to concede this. They did not get any boost from the back corners on their exit. So Epsilon are ready to turn around, start pressuring of their own. These whiffs are taking both teams by surprise when they do occur. Oh, here comes Repex off the wall. Is he going to do anything special? Shakuron predicting the miss from his teammate up above. We're right back into what we saw at the end of the last game. Epsilon putting up some good midfield defense, and at least now they have a lead to defend.
Yeah, this is the perfect position for them, constantly attacking. As long as they can control those two middle boosts, then they will have double the advantage over Endpoint, who will be stuck with only 200 boost between 3 players, which is exactly not what you want as a defending team.
You see Tinny pathing over the small pads. He knows that boost is really going to be difficult to grab. He's grabbed the side boost though, so now they will have the opportunity to starve Epsilon a little bit. He took the back corner as well. Alex is starved, relying on Repex for help, which did come just in the nick of time. We see the pressure though starting to appear. Oh, that's a great pass, and the finish is just off the net. Data with great vision, spotting Repex downfield. Data is, in my opinion, the best passer on the field in this series.
Ooh, I do like the attempt though by Alex. Here's going to be an opportunity for Shakuron. He puts that one straight back down, but Repex actually got to the ball first. And his shooting accuracy, which has been lacking across both sides. But on the other side of that, the opportunities, you're trying to make a lot more out of situations that don't quite fit. These passing plays just need to be that much stronger and that much closer to the net to be all that threatening.
Yeah, and a bit of a giveaway there by Data. I think he wanted Alex to make the run. Alex is a great solo player, as we all know. Several times a top 10 1 versus 1 player in the ranked leaderboard. Making a smooth transition to threes. That is a good shot and a good save. Alex, great positioning there. Covering a lot of the goal. He knows that if the ball was going to make it to the far post, it would have further to travel. That's why we saw him lurking at the near post there, making sure not to leave a gap anywhere for Endpoint to equalize.
So important in Rocket League to give yourself as much range of motion available, using that back post to completely cover the entire net. The doink, we still have not seen one of those scored. We've seen them attempted
open net
season, but Shakuran
secured.
Will get a very simple tap in, and we are now all tied up with a minute remaining.
And what happened to the defense here? There's just no one at home, and Shakuran showing Repix how it's done. He says the open net is right here, my friend. This is how we score it. Endpoint have a chance to take another game here in a series where they have looked second best in terms of possession and overall control, but they've got a bit of work to do right now. Repix has made this difficult for Data. Not even Data can get that back into the danger zone, but he will put it back into the net. Careless defending from Endpoint, punished by the Swede.
They just seem to forget that Data was around. After they played the ball, they were just like, okay, he's done. But the half rotation from Data, so smart, taking advantage of the lax defending, the lax clear, and Epsilon now find themselves in the lead, 45 seconds remaining. And if they can take this, they will tie up the series.
That was a phenomenal recovery. I can see why Endpoint did not expect Data to be back in position. Never mind back in position, ready to score. That was quite something. Alex looking for Repix. Great bump by Cheerio, taking Repix out of the line of fire. They still need one more goal to bring this to overtime. The ball is, again, wide open. Cheerio ties it. What is going on in the Epsilon defense?
I have absolutely no idea. You can see throughout the entirety of this replay, I actually can't even figure out what happened because we don't see anyone on the pitch
I
at any
think
time.
shenanigans, perhaps, from Tinny. That was not what where I expected Repix to be. Tinny might have just come up behind him, given him a quick spank off to the side. Once again, Epsilon, or Endpoint, a chance to steal it, but the miss on the open net. We saw that from Repix in game one. Now Tinny sends a shot way high. A shot that he should have been scoring. The ball's still up here. Should grind, and it will. Endpoint have a great chance here. This is a must-win series if they want to make top 4 in the Gfinity Elite Series. And they won't get a better chance than this. Ceiling shot by Alex. Great save, though. Tinny coming in clutch once again.
So Epsilon, they must win this if they do.
They're on the run.
Tie us up. That is going to be an open opportunity. Cheerio has to play this one well, but he's actually going to rely on Shakuran, who came in at the very last moment to push it away. They expect to see one player always covering the defense, even if their name is Endpoint. Because right now, defense is a priority. Do not allow the long shots to go in.
That's a good bump.
Tinny might have actually set that up for a teammate, but there will be no follow-up, as that shot will be looping, not on target. And for the time being, both these teams very safe with the style of play.
Alex did get taken out right there in defense. Should the ball have centered, Endpoint might have had a chance. Epsilon have to be very, very careful. Their defense has been exposed a couple of times this game by Endpoint shenanigans. Such a close game, a very strange game. The goals from Epsilon, very deliberate, very mechanically sound. But we are still tied up. It doesn't matter how pretty a goal is in Rocket League. They all count. And the next goal will determine the winner of game 2. Very much settled into overtime now. Oh, that's just about a good enough save from Data. The double mind game from Cheerio. Such a strange game here. There's so many odd situations occurring.
Data, that was wrong, bad, and a big no-no. Never do that again. But right now, it's the thirds that we need to be taking a look at. Any mispositioning will be countered by a
oh,
that is going crossbar in. You do not hit it any sweeter.
Tinny remedying his open net miss. We saw right at the end of regular time from the right-hand side, he hit the bar. Well, this time from the left, he sends it bar, post, and in. Great strike, 2-0 Endpoint. I don't know what to say.
It doesn't really feel like there's momentum either way, though, at the moment. It's
That was
2-0.
that was such a strange game. It
And
really
it
was.
seems like we are taking it game by game. Honestly, this could end either in a sweep or a reverse sweep. I honestly can't tell either way. It's essentially as if they're playing each other in ranked.
Well, with how game 1 ended, we saw Epsilon trailing the entire game, and then they scored straight away into game 2. It looked like they might just, take control. We've seen the goals already occurred at this point, and this was a great chance to pass from. Data was good. Repix unable to find the net. There's Alex with a good save. It looked like it might just be a routine victory, but then suddenly 2 defensive lapses for Epsilon. Just Data with a great recovery to put them in the lead. But where's the defense?
It is literally a tale of 2 halves. For
There's that crossbar.
Endpoint, as every single time they go forward, they look ever so deadly. Data, possibly with the shot of the day.
Almost own goal in the tournament. But City, with the remedy, look at that. There was actually 2 goalkeepers to put that past, and he got to pass both of them, so well played.
Look at that. That is the hyping up
Great stuff.
that Endpoint need.
Great stuff.
Find themselves 2-0 up in this series, 1 game away from taking a big 3 points. But they now need to finish it off. Right now, both teams still looking shaky all across the board. Offense starting to look better on one side, but mistakes are proving to be the difference maker.
Yeah, and Endpoint are capitalizing. I've got to say that that finish in overtime from Tinny was phenomenal. That was a great strike, and it's very difficult to hit the ball bar down from the corner of the field like that. So well played. Should they go on to win, that is, for me, the standout moment in game 2, of course. In game 1, we've got to, I hate to do it, but we have to remember Repix open net miss. How about a few of those?
Repix, that was a fantastic idea. It's a shame nobody on your team was going for it with you. That is going to be a big boomer straight towards the middle of Tinny, who can push that out, but it's going to allow Epsilon to start off with pressure. Unfortunately, unable to do anything with it.
Yeah, that was a tough angle Alex was trying to find. He did well to land on his wheels, if nothing else, to get right back into the play. Shot from Data is good, but Tinny has been doing a stellar job in defense. Not just getting a save, but giving enough time for Shakuran and Cheerio to get back into position. Help him out. Double touch also getting missed from Repix. This is a position that Epsilon would never have expected themselves to be in. We all know that these teams at the Gfinity Elite Series, they love to talk a big game. And they love to say, we're just going to win 3-0. But even if they don't thoroughly believe that, I can guarantee you they expected to win, but it just is not happening. Cheerio is on the score sheet again, just over a minute into the game.
And it is always that lack of direct challenge. Repix tried to control the ball, but the same thing that what happened when Data scored earlier on in the series, just got caught out by someone rotating behind him. Same thing again. A very good landing allows the ability to reopen up the play. And Endpoint, if they can hold on to this, will take a big win and reinsert themselves in the argument for a top four spot.
I thought that if there was going to be a week at the Gfinity Elite Series where every single series was going to go 3-0, it was going to be this week. But I thought it would be 3-0 for Epsilon, not Endpoint. Got to give a ton of credit to Tinny. He's been doing a lot of the dirty work. Every time that the ball is arriving in their half, he's first on the scene to clean up the mess. He's been bumping, he's been demoing, he's been winning a lot of challenges in the midfield. He did set up that first goal as well. Standout player, in my opinion, is the Welshman. Which is great, because I haven't seen anything like that from him in the series so far. Once again, Tinny with the setup. Nothing fancy, just first to the ball. Curve it round. No defense for Epsilon. No defense.
I don't know if he thought Alex just couldn't control the ball anymore, but there was no need to commit 2 players towards that ball. And it just opens up the defense yet again. And for almost every single goal that we have seen Endpoint score so far, no one has been in net most of the time, apart from that absolute demolisher of a goal we saw ending off game number 2.
This is just a situation where Epsilon have got to be feeling so confused. They will have they'll have felt like they should have won game 1. They'll feel like they should have won game 2. And they lost both of them. And now they're also losing game 3. But Data, we see exactly why it is so good to hit the backboard when there are goalkeepers. We were on board with Cheerio there, and it was never going to be easy. Tinny is, getting a little bit addicted to bumps right there. He bumps Cheerio, his own teammate. We gotta watch out for Tinny shenanigans. Epsilon are not done yet though. Plenty time for them to try to bring the series back into their favor. And that's a great passing play. And it will make the back of the net. Alex and Repix step up to the plate.
I absolutely love this change from Epsilon. They have understood the fact that Endpoint are leaving so many players on that goal line, so they are keeping the ball away. They are now giving themselves opportunities closer at taking shots because there's no challenge. They don't have to worry about being challenged either off the backboard or off a passing play because it will not come towards them, and that allows them to take such lethal shots.
That was a great pass as well. A little cheeky doink from Alex, 161. I was very interested when we started off the Elite Series to see how well Alex would play, because I've never seen him really perform to the best of his ability in a 3v3 setting. But he's been a player to watch in the Elite Series so far, there's no doubt.
Now, we find ourselves all tied up in a game that Epsilon must win if they want to continue this series and potentially force a Game 5. If they can do, they will ensure themselves at least a singular point, which will be making all the difference as we head into the second half of our league play.
They are currently on a 2-match win streak versus Reason and Excel, two of the teams who are struggling at the bottom of the table. But Epsilon looked impressive against them, and suddenly they're down again. And we have to say, once again, where is the defense? Cheerio fires a simple question, and there is no answer from Epsilon.
It's like a bad joke. Every single time they hit it towards the net, it's like Endpoint are saying, hey, have you heard this one before? And guess what? We have. We've heard it over and over again. Put someone on the back rotation, because I was complaining earlier on that there was no challenge in the midfield. Now there's no challenge anywhere on the field.
We said at the start of the series, Epsilon's offense looking great, defense maybe questionable, and it has been so painfully obvious in the 2 games and the 4 minutes that we've seen in Game 3. This is a big chance, though. 2 players out the game. The ball is running loose. Tinny once again, first on the scene, and a great shot from Cheerio. Shakuron is running interference. 3-point turn from Data. Nice parallel parking maneuver there.
He
get the ball into danger.
Test first time, didn't he?
Oh, Cheerio double touch from point blank range. Cheerio has been popping them in this game. Repix completely at a loss for what to do. 4-2. Endpoint are on the brink of getting a much needed win. We said Epsilon came into this match on a 2-match win streak. Well, Endpoint are coming in on a 2-match losing streak. I'm sure a lot of you will remember. Huge turnaround for them against individually talented opponents. We're now struggling with team play, but Shakuron and Cheerio link up once again. Look at this delivery from Shakuron.
Could not have touched it any better. Nobody around on Epsilon. And if this result stays as it is, which is looking incredibly likely, it is going to really open up that top 4 position. I was saying earlier on that it looked like a top 5, maybe pushing towards it. It's going to be a top 6 after this.
Oh, absolutely. This is wide open now. So many teams sitting on 2 wins at the end of the day. As we already have Method on 2. After this, Epsilon and Endpoint, both 2 wins. I wonder who else. Cheerio on a rampage. They need to get rid of this ball if they want to pad the stats a little bit more. What a performance, though. Endpoint showing us that there was no fluke all along. Epsilon might have dominated the possession. They might have looked like the more threatening team for the first 10 minutes of this series. But the final 5 was Endpoint's to own.
You saw from Endpoint at the end there just what this win means. Not a pop-off, more of a look of relief. They have finally got the results that they feel they need, and they've got it in a sweep, which nobody expected. Everyone on the desk expected us to go to 5 games.
I will not lie. I will lie. I thought this would go 3-0 for Epsilon. I really did. Completely shocked and amazed at the Endpoint who showed up in that last game. Epsilon struggling on the day. Open net misses. A lot of defensive blunders. They'll need to rethink their strategy if they want to get that top 4 spot. very tough competition as well. They still have to play against a lot of top teams. And I don't know, if they don't do something very, very differently, they're going to struggle.
Certainly will be. I mean, we looked at that as a game that probably they should have won, especially if they do want to be challenging towards the top of the leaderboards, especially if you want to avoid one of those big, big teams, which is looking like it could be any number of either Envious, Method, or Infused. Those are all teams
and I think
you want to
that
avoid.
might be Epsilon's remaining 3 games.
That actually sounds
I think
just about right.
That might be. They've already played Reason and Excel. Oh no, they have played Infused. But they do still have to play against Envy and Method. That is not good news if you're an Epsilon fan. Started off as a quick little comeback there. Some nice goals from Data, Alex and Repix. But then it all fell to pieces. That goal should never be going in at this level of play. Have to give some credit where credit is due, though, for the 4th and the 5th. There was some great assisting from Shaka on the backwards pass into the middle there. Just serving it up on a silver platter for Cheerio, who ate it all up. Great performance from the Endpoint guys to end the series. Is this how they're going to finish? They're going to end out every series well, as their name would suggest.
Certainly are. They are going to take this series in a complete sweep, 3 games to 0, and that is going to be a much-needed win as well. But to break this whole thing down, we have got Tom, and he is joined by our analysts at the desk.
Thank you very much to the Yin and Yang brothers, the monochrome duo, aka Shogun and Johnny Boy. So, Gregan, on set, I mean, wowzers. Cheerio was clearly fed up of Tinny scoring all the goals. He came alive in that match, a 3-0 win there for Endpoint.
I'm so happy for those guys. You could see it on the stage there, excuse me, at the end there, just the smiles and just the sense of relief you could feel in all those players. They've had weeks where they've been so close, but the first shot they took in that series flew in the top corner. And that, I think, just gave them so much confidence. It's the one thing that's been letting them down is just those finishes, like we've mentioned. For that to go in, the first shot, to find that top corner, I think it just did wonders for them, and they grew into that series, and they finally looked like the team that they should be.
Yeah. Did you see it in the same way, Gregan?
I mean, from the start, I genuinely believe their play style works perfectly against Epsilon. Epsilon have some interesting ways to score, but they've proven time and time again, Endpoint, that they can defend. They just struggle to find gaps in the offensive position. But it is Epsilon who leave those gaps, so it just kind of fit perfectly for them, like a puzzle piece. They managed to work it out completely. And I'm so happy for those boys. They live very close to me, like 10 minutes down the road from me. So the local boys, done me proud.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, we can welcome the man with the cheekiest smile in the whole Elite Series tournament, Tinny, to the panel. Tinny! Yes, buddy, come and join me, man. Lovely to see you, man. Come and have a seat.
Very good. Well done.
Oh, I've done it again. I went for a handshake. What's wrong with me? Anyway, listen, Tinny, that cheeky smile came out. Yeah. Finally got to see it this week. Scored a couple of goals. Lots of questions for you. First of all, what did you feed Cheerio today? He was on fire.
He hasn't had anything, so maybe that's what it is. Don't give him breakfast.
That's the secret. You must be so happy that finally it seemed to all click together today.
Yeah, like I think people were feeling the nerves, like Cheerio and Chakron especially, were feeling the nerves of, you know, being so close to beating teams like Infused, and I can't remember who we lost to before as well, Envious.
Yeah.
And you know, I think this will definitely sort of help them in the.
And don't forget the loss to Team Infused, not to bring it up again.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. That was so close as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of time when you were hitting the crossbar and everything. The game too, though, I have to point out, all of your team scored today. It was the perfect team performance.
Apparently we can shoot now. Like, I don't know what to say, honestly. But.
Did you lost which button to hit, or? So this is the replay of this. Cheerio scored a goal there, and then obviously that game went to was it overtime? Is that what it went to? Where you bagged it and you won it the match. That must have been a lovely, feeling for you there.
It was great. Like it was a bit sketchy. A couple of times in that series, like it was 2-2 at one point in game 3, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think you were 2-0 up, I think, at one point, and then they came back in. Yeah. Your stats of the day: 1 goal, but a vital goal in overtime, and then 3 assists, 5 saves. We mentioned that before on set, and Gregan, about how the saves are quite high because they tend to sort of sit back. They're under the cosh from the opposition, but again, it's the perfect style of play.
Yeah, you tend to counterplay quite a lot, and I really felt today that would work for you against Epsilon because they often leave those gaps at the back. And we saw that. You scored a lot of goals, not in crazy ways, just shooting accurately, as you said. I'm interested to know, as a team that's living together, there's not many of those in Rocket League. We saw how well it worked for Method this week. They played together in person. Do you think that's affecting the way you're performing now as a team?
I think we feel more together as a team than some other teams here. You know, like we spend a lot of time together now. If we're not playing Rocket League, we're playing something else, or we're going to the shop together, or we're doing everything together. So, we really feel that our success is tied together, and I think that does help.
That's nice.
You're like a 2017 marriage, the three of you. It's beautiful. Onset, on Endpoint's play, were they doing something, tactically that didn't allow Epsilon to really come to the game today?
I think Gregan summed it up before the game actually started. It seemed like your playstyle was the perfect one to go up against Epsilon. Defensively, you've been very solid throughout the Elite Series so far, but how good does it feel to finally have the crossbar on the post on your side? Because there's a couple of times in that we saw the crossbar actually being hit, but then the ball falling into the back of the net. It must feel nice to actually finally make friends with those guys.
Yeah, well, that's always the plan, hitting the crossbar and down, but for some reason it just pinged out like all the time the last couple of weeks, so it's nice for it to, go our way.
There was one moment where we were watching down here on the stage, Tinny, and it hit the post, and I went, no, do not revert to the old Endpoint. All the goals in match 3, what was that about? Did you say, let's just go for it, let's not, because there were so many goals in that third match, wasn't there?
That was mostly Cheerio, right?
Yeah.
This is his greatest strength. Like, just finding goals when you think, we're going to have to do a setup or something. He just finds, like, an opening. Like that goal there, I never expected that to go in, but he's Cheerio. Like, this is exactly what he does all the time.
Have you scored all of them?
I think it was all him. 5 goals.
Yeah, but that setup from Chacaron, he's certainly the one that we questioned at the beginning. We didn't know what he was going to be like because you and Cheerio played way back in the day, 0 effort. You've played at the pro level a little bit. And then Chacaron's come in as the fresh player, the local boy, the UK-based player. And how do you feel he's stepping up to the pro level?
He's definitely pulling his weight. Like, I'd say even more. Like, he's very sort of, he really wants to improve as a team. Like, individually, me and Cheerio, I'd say we're pretty good, but like our team focus has never been sort of, we've never had that focus that Chacaron gives us. He's always there, oh, we could be doing this, we could be doing that. I think it really helps us sort of round out our team.
That's really nice to hear.
Well, listen, Tinny, just at the beginning when you came down into the arena, Data had the scoreline at 3-0. Now, I assumed he was talking about his team. What he was actually talking about was you were going to win 3-0. But we can find out what his thoughts are after that with the, I'm going to call it quintessential Ariel.
Tom, you kill me. Just want to talk about that statement, Data. You said 3-0 to you guys, but it was the other way. How are you feeling?
I mean, I didn't specify which team would win.
So you were talking about Endpoint then?
Definitely.
I just asked you off camera what you think went wrong this week, and you were saying you really haven't put in the time this week training, have you?
Not that much. And
not as much as you should be.
Exactly. And I feel we played pretty well in the first game, but we didn't really score even though we had so many opportunities, and we kind of got down on ourselves, and after that we just went downhill, started doing a lot of defensive mistakes. And
yeah. I mean, that's a good analogy there. That, like, when you get to that point, how do you get yourselves out of that mind frame of, oh, we're down, we've lost the first match? Is that what you need to start working on together as a team? Is it a lack of communication, or is it just a lack of positivity amongst you once you get put down a little bit?
I think our communication went down a little bit, but also, especially me, started doing a lot of defensive, like, overcommits because I really wanted to score.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've got 2 games, and so have they, so it's even Stevens, so good luck for next week. We'll go back to you, Tom.
Brilliant. There you go. Ariel talking to Data. Not enough prac going in there, but they'll improve. They'll come back next week a lot stronger. But Tinny, where do you go from here? This is an upwards trajectory now, surely.
Yeah, like I said last week, like, just keep doing what we're doing. I think it's working. I think it's proof. Playing Epsilon and managed to get that win. I think. I think we're on to something anyway, so we'll just keep going until it doesn't work, and then, we'll go from there.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure who you're playing next week. I mean, I've been asking everybody who you're playing next week, but I tell you what, it doesn't matter who you're playing because you've got that confidence now, right?
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah, we were just chatting, actually. The games they've had to play, they've played Method, Infused and Envious, who are some of the favourites of the competition. And because you played against the Method backup team, the substitute team, you managed to take that game. So you've taken 1 out of 3 of the toughest teams, taken a swing game over Epsilon. You're then only going to have Prophecy, Reason and XL left, who are teams who you definitely feel like you could beat.
Yeah, it is Prophecy next week. Is there a key person out of that team? Is it Flarky with his little tiara?
Not really. There's not like a standout player on that team to me. Like, I think they're all very sort of solid. It's just we usually have good games against Prophecy as well. So Prophecy and Epsilon were the two teams we sort of like could go either way. So we've won that one against Epsilon. So we're hoping to do the exact same against Prophecy.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations on the win today, Tinny. Listen, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we are going to have one of the biggest names in Rocket League who makes his Elite Series debut. Envious are making everyone jealous as they unveil Remco, aka Remguard.